Welcome to the Ruden Report Podcast. We haven't been talking too much about football after talking a lot about football that was non-football for about 6 weeks, but somebody I wanted to write a story with a couple weeks ago and waited to see how things played out, and thinking about it, I decided it would be better to let you hear his own voice as we talk about one of the many football players who not having a fall season poses some different questions for it in terms of recruiting in the future, and that's New Canaan's David Siegel. David, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
This is good. This is my week of the Siegels. Your sister Jackie started working for me,
Yep.
doing social media. She actually has her first byline on the site today, so we can't let Jackie get all the attention. So we're gonna throw a little love your way today. So. First of all, let's just catch up because football's sort of been out of the limelight for the last 2 weeks, but you guys are still practicing. What's going on with that?
We've been practicing a ton. We have practices every day. Some days we're able to actually get on Trinity Catholic, practice a little in pads, which has been really nice to get back into. We don't have too much time out there, but we make the most of it. And other days, we're no pads, going over plays, getting ready for 7-on-7, and hopefully getting ready for a private league.
Do you get, because of the situation with other teams at your school that are playing, what's the situation just in terms of what access you have to fields at the school?
Usually our practice times are now later. We're 4:45 to 5:45, maybe a little later, but sometimes we'll get kicked off the field and we'll have to move up to Water Tower, depending if other teams have games.
What are practices like? How are they compared to in a traditional season? Are they just as hard? Are they a little bit more laid back? How are those going?
When we're able to practice in pads, it's a lot different because we have a lot less time. So it's getting right into it. As soon as you get there, we stretch, inside run, team, screen. We just get everything in as fast as we can because we only have a limited amount of time on the field. But when we have practices on Dunning, it's a little more laid back because we have a little more time and leniency. But it's definitely a lot different than traditional practices.
I would think after everything you guys have been through for the last 6-7 weeks that coaches would be scared to put you in pads. You might kill each other. Just wanting to hit something.
Oh, yeah.
So how are things changed since you knew for sure that there wasn't going to be a conventional CIAC sanctioned season? What was it like when you first heard the news? Were you braced for it? And what's it been like since in terms of keeping football in your life, but not the way you're accustomed to?
When we first heard the news, it was very hard, but the team we have this year, they were extremely ready no matter what. We knew we would have a chance to do something. So we never stopped working. We would do workouts just as players. We would just do everything we could, even though we knew we might not have a season. But this team has truly been extremely committed, and it's been something great to watch.
Are you guys, is there still the sort of team bonding? Do you guys keep any of the traditions that you normally do during football season?
We try our best. Usually we have a lot of traditions in the locker room, like blasting music, but unfortunately this year we can't, so we changed it to more parking lot blasting music out of our cars.
Let's just talk a little bit. How's the whole team been like? What's the mood of the team? I think about, it's hard to single out anybody because it's all frustrating, but you look at a kid like a Reed Brown, who's a quarterback who sat behind Drew Pine for 4 years, and this was going to be his opportunity, and now he's not getting it. And there are loads of other players, not just on your team, but on others. That's just sort of one that kind of pops into mind because it's the position he plays.
The energy's been kind of crazy. The whole team has been ecstatic for each and every practice. No one's kind of getting down on themselves whether or not they make a bad play, and no one second guesses whether or not we're having a season. So everyone is there every day with the same energy, and it's been great.
What about in terms of what's happening with you? I mean, number one, for people who aren't familiar, I remember when you were a sophomore and everybody was saying, next big recruit at New Canaan's David Siegel. You got to keep an eye on this guy. And then you tore your labrum last summer. The summer before your junior year, you missed all of last year. So, I mean, first of all, how hard is this in terms of not just missing 1 year, but possibly a second season now?
It's been super tough, but I've kept my head up through it. The thing that has helped me the most is really my teammates. They've always been there for me. Last year with Jaden Conspor, Will Perone, Jack Hines, all those boys, and even this year with kids like Ned Brady, Teddy, Ben Clay, and Steven Lucarelli. They've been there for me, especially last year before games. It would get really tough, but my boys they always had my back.
I'm sure all the work you did just to rehab and then over the summer, all the work and conditioning and training, you were just ready to go. You're looking from a recruiting standpoint, you need to get some film. So how hard has that all been for you in terms of planning for your future?
It's been very tough. A lot of college coaches want to see game film, but unfortunately, the last time they saw me on film, I was 6'3", 265.
How big are you now for context for everybody?
6'6", 270.
Okay.
So they just want to see how I can move now. But I was able to do a combine a couple weeks ago, which went great. I was able to send some film out, but they really just want to see me in a game environment and being able to play like that.
How do they look? I actually was over at, I think that's a combine that was over in Westport that I popped over to. A couple of people said, check it out, come see what these guys are doing. Do you get in read from how coaches look at film from what you did then compared to normal game film that they would normally base their judgments on?
Yeah, it's a lot different only because when I'm doing a pass set, say it's just one-on-one, I know that guy's coming. I'm not reading assignments like I would if I was during a game on offensive line. So they see it. They can get some good reads out of it. But when they really see game film, they can see how I work in an actual game environment.
What about in terms of, serious thoughts now about your future? Number one, you're have an advantage over a lot of people in that you have offers right now. So you're not sitting there. You are in a somewhat position of strength in that you can decide tomorrow to sign with somebody if you think that's the best decision for you. I know UMass is one of the schools. I think Holy Cross is one. Where are some of the schools that you have offers from that interest you right now?
UMass, Holy Cross, UConn, Buffalo. I'm really thankful for all the offers I've had. I'm hoping that I would be able to make a decision, whether it's college or potentially a PG year, only because it's been so long since I played, and since the season was delayed, I'm kind of at a disadvantage because all the spots have been taken up. And the only reason I would PG is really for some equal opportunity in terms of recruiting. But hopefully within the next 2 to 3 weeks, I'd make a decision.
It's got to be a difficult choice. There's so many things going through. Number one, and obviously you've got some really good offers, but you like to have even more offers to choose from. So how does that play out just in terms of wanting to maybe delay a definite decision for college, whether you do a post-grad? How do you judge that in terms of there's risks involved as well as opportunities?
Yeah, I've thought about it a lot. There's always a risk for getting injured in that post-grad season, maybe the summer before I do a post-grad year. That's something I still have to decide on. I've been thinking a lot about that decision. But yeah, the injuries are really the only downside if I were to PG.
Will you be, have you kind of put yourself in that position in terms of, and there have been a lot of football players and a lot of New Canaan that have done, PGs and it's worked out great. So have you kind of thought about another year academically in terms of your whole natural school process?
Definitely. I think another year could help me also prepare for college mentally in the classroom as well as physically outside of the classroom. Which could also be a huge bonus.
Now, what's the advantages? The obvious one is if you grab something now, you've got something, and the offers you have, you're at good football schools and you're at good academic schools.
Yeah, if I were to take something now, there would be a great sense of security. I would also be able to kind of get in early and really get game experience in college and kind of get in tune with the rest of a college team if I were to make a decision now.
Do you think if you were to make a decision now, do you think the fact that you haven't played in a while, do you kind of just feel like you need another non-college season under your belt just to be better equipped to play in college, or do you feel like you're okay if you were to go straight to school next year?
I think I would be able to hold my own. I just know there are a ton of advantages that if I were to PG, there are also a ton of advantages if I weren't. So it's still something I got to decide on.
I mean, really, there's no real right or wrong decision in terms of everything. There's good opportunities either way. Is it something? I mean, can you not stop thinking about it? It's such an important decision in your life. I don't know how you escape getting away from thinking about it.
Yeah, there's been a lot of procrastination and homework. When it comes to my mind, I'll start thinking about it, and before I know it, it's 10 o'clock, and I've only written a sentence of my homework. But it's something I've stayed up late at night thinking about. I've had some early morning runs trying to get my mind in tune and think about it. But yeah, it's a very tough decision to think about.
What about 7-on-7? How I know you guys you went against Darien last week. What number one as a lineman, did you just take part in the lineman challenge part of it?
Yeah, we did the lineman challenge. It was interesting. We did shot put. We took a ball, threw it, a 20-pound medicine ball, threw it over our heads to see who could throw it farther. We deadlifted. I think it was around like 225. Walked 10 yards. Whoever did it faster. We pulled 225 on our backs, 15 yards. And then we did a push sled for 15 yards to see who would do it faster. So that was very interesting, kind of going up against some of the Darien kids in that fashion. But I really wish we could get on the field against them.
Now, I was going to say how obviously anything you do, you're competitive. But what sense of competition do you get out of doing something like that?
A ton, especially, it's Darien, our crosstown rivals. So everyone was competing, everyone was fired up. But most importantly, we just wish we were actually able to play those guys. Hopefully, if everything goes well, we could do something on Thanksgiving.
Do you have to, you've got to have a turkey bowl of some kind, I think.
Yeah.
Did you, have you thought of going up to Lou and saying, why don't you put me at tight end a little bit? Let me do something out there in the more traditional 7-on-7 part?
I'd love to do that. I mean, there's not too many tall corners who I think could guard me. If I was in the back of the end zone, made one good jump, I think I could have a touchdown.
I was joking about that. I was up at Wilton. I was saying, they should put Golden at tight end, and put you at tight end. But obviously, the last thing you want is to you've already missed a year. You don't want to miss another one because you got her playing 7-on-7.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun. Me and Golden have been frenemies since youth. We're good friends now. But I would really love to see that matchup.
That'd be a pretty good matchup. I'd like to see that matchup too. So maybe we'll come up with some other kind of 7-on-7 competition we could do that's lineman based for football that that we could do and see two of the best in the FCAC. And then again, and it's not finalized, but there's still the possibility that there will be a senior division of the Fairfield County Football League. I know that's still in the works, and if it's going to happen, it's going to happen soon. How does that fit into everything, just in terms of it being in the back of your mind and having a season that way?
That would be huge. We're still praying that something can come out of it. I know it's been very tough on all the people who have been working on it because it's such a short time notice to get everything done. But if that comes in, that would be a great opportunity for all the teams around Fairfield County who could play.
And then the other thing is the spring season. I mean, it's possible that you could have some sort of a the spring experience too. How if you were to get spring football, how does that factor into your decision? Because seniors who are going to go play in college, you don't want to get hurt again, but you want to play with the guys you won last time. Do you have any idea how a spring league would factor into your decision making?
Spring league would be very tough, but because by that time college admissions process is already over. And something that my father said to me the other day, for even current juniors right now, if you were to get hurt in that spring football season, you'd be out the entire fall season of the next year. So it's a huge risk to take if I were to play in that.
Yeah, it's kind of tough. It's interesting. I did a roundtable at the Westport Library that with a couple of FCAC players, and I said, well, if there's spring football, would you do it? And Golden was one of them too, and they all said yes. And I think that I'm wondering if that's kind of like the emotion of it. We're going to play, but then you get into the reality of the situation. Then is a spring season worth the risk for people who are not going to go, for people who are going to go on and play in college or have aspirations to? I would think that's a real roll of the dice.
Yeah, there's definitely a ton of risk involved with it. But there's nothing in the world I would trade with going out with my boys for another time, playing another game. So it's the best feeling in the world, being able to run out on a field with your best friends by your side and go play some football.
Is this whole thing, everything that's happened, I mean, for you even going back, having to miss your junior year, is this just all kind of been like surreal? Is it sort of like you're waiting to wake up and find out that this has all been a really, really bad dream?
I wish, but for me, this is all I know. So I've been able to cope with it very well. My family and friends have helped me a ton, but I'm just hoping everything can pan out. There have been obviously a ton of unfortunate events that have happened over the past year. So hopefully something good can come out of it soon.
Well, fortunately for you, I'm glad that you're in a position of strength rather than weakness. So you've got two really good paths to take, and I wish you a lot of luck in your decision in terms of which one you're going to choose. And I've known you for a while, so for people here who are seeing you the first time, when I say that you're a better person than you are a football player, these last 15, 20 minutes are representative of who David Siegel is. So thanks for taking the time, and I wish you the best of luck and look forward to hearing what you decide.
Thank you again.
And that's the Ruden Report Podcast, Zoomcast for this week. Again, thanks to David Siegel, and we'll be back and see you again real soon.